NEPM's podcasts are funded by Armbrook Village, offering research-based arts, music, fitness, and lifelong learning programs at their assisted living and Alzheimer's care community in Westfield. armbrookvillage.com. The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Northeast Solar, offering solar options, energy security, and solutions for the local community. Learn more at northeast-solar.com.
Welcome to the Fabulous 413. I'm Khalees Smith.
And I'm Monty Belmonte. Happy official Spooky Month.
Later in the show, we'll talk about one of the spookiest events yet, the VP Debate Watch Party happening tonight at White Lion in Amherst.
I think you're mostly excited about the bingo because you missed out last time.
I definitely missed out on the bingo last time. Those are facts. But I might also be thinking about fall planting for gardens because planting stuff is not just for the springtime. And the folks at the brand new Ben and Meg's Farm and Garden Store in South Hadley are eager not just to help you get going in the ground this season, but to bring more native plants into your mix.
But back to Amherst, the 5 colleges are a force in this area, and now the Valley's Community Art House Theater is bringing their flavor of academia to the screen.
We're in the lobby of Amherst Cinema, which is nonprofit cinema right in the heart of downtown Amherst. And because we like to focus on so many local things on the Fabulous 413, it was irresistible when we heard that there was a new series at Amherst Cinema coming up called 5 on Film, which are 5 weeks, 5 films from the 5 colleges, all films associated in one way or another with the 5 colleges that have come to identify so much of this area.
My name is Yasmin Chin-Eisenhower. I'm the executive director of Amherst Cinema, and thank you so much for being here today.
These will begin this evening at 7 o'clock with the first one, The Incredibly True Adventure of 2 Girls in Love. Who wants to talk about this movie and what the connection is to the 5 colleges?
Would it be okay if I rewound a little bit?
Sure.
Amherst Cinema is one of these places that has a lot of community coming through here. And on any given day, month, season of programs, 5 colleges is greatly represented here. We have faculty on our stages. We have faculty who curate programs with us. We have faculty, staff, students, and alums who come through our doors and enjoy movies. So this feels like kind of a no-brainer. It's a extension of the community, and we see ourselves as an extension of the campuses. So I think it's about 3 years this series has been in the making, because in the past 3 years, there have been new leadership and new people who've arrived to the community. And part of my job is to think about how do we form greater relationships with both the heads of the institutions as well as the various film and media studies programs. And so one by one, they're new people. And with these new people come their values and what they're trying to see. And all of them have expressed this desire to have a greater connection to the town itself. So with that said, I said, what are your favorite movies? Because for me, I love that question. You tell me your favorite movies, and I can tell you a little bit about yourself. So I'm not going to ask you your
tell
favorite
me what you like, and I will tell you who you are.
Monty, what's your favorite movie?
Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Excellent!
What does this tell us about Monty?
Quite a bit.
All right,
Basically everything you need to know about me? Yes. The only true wisdom is in knowing that you know nothing. Plus to be excellent to each other and party on, dude. Come on, I want that on my tombstone.
I like that. Alex, we might have to think about Bill and Ted's just in honor.
Oh, I would
All right,
love it.
Khalees,
I'd be
what's
there.
your favorite movie?
I don't have one single one. It's kind of a tie between 3, and I'm sorry, but that also explains a lot about me. It's Amelie, 3 the Hard Way, and Satoshi Kon's first movie, Perfect Blue.
That does tell you a lot.
And not to say that that list can't change, right? We know that favorite movies change all the time depending on exposure to new works that are coming out. So I like that list. Thank you.
How does one's favorite movies tie into the 5 college area?
Right. Okay. So back to the origin story. I reached out to college presidents. They were totally willing to join this series. We're thinking about October was the target date. Let's have some fun at the movies and what are their favorite movies. Now, I'm not telling you people's favorite movies. You'll have to come to show to see that. But as we started talking and exploring, and my colleague Angela, who's here with me, we had an opportunity to visit with folks to co-curate this. And we said, you know, we love your favorite movies, and let's think about pivoting. Who are the filmmakers and makers that have come from your institutions? And what if instead we spotlighted those folks? So that's what we've done with this series. Now, we're not LA, we're not UCLA, we're not USC. We don't have a list of filmmakers and actors, etc.
Folks might also have like a certain advantage of being in proximity to like the largest movie making place that isn't India.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. But we do have, you would be surprised, a fair share of pretty well-known makers who've come from this area, including most recently Annie Baker, who directed Janet Planet. One of the things about Janet Planet is that she was born and raised in Amherst. She went through our schools. And for her first major film debut, she brought it back to Western Massachusetts. And in its kind of art house rollout, Amherst Cinema was the top grossing cinema of any cinema across the country. So there's a benefit to nurturing our artists, to seeing our artists, and aspiring those who might be coming next. So that's how we got it. All of the college presidents and the chancellor got their assignment to go back to their respective institutions, and we helped to think about who came through their doors, who graduated, and how can we get this School Spirit Month produced.
For the other times that we've talked to you about collaborations with the 5 colleges, it's always been on a much more specific topic. So in that light, having something so broad, was it hard to curate something like, was it hard to narrow it down to the 5 you actually wanted, one from each college?
So yes, for any given series, what we think about is the films being in conversation with each other. How do you kind of honor the ways that we typically program series, which have like all sorts of various identities. So we like female-directed films, we like BIPOC storytellers, we elevate queer cinema. You know, how do you do that across 5 films, 5 colleges, with a specific universe of makers that you can choose from? So we applied our principles, our values of how we typically, and the administration, they were fully on board. And so I think what you'll see as you kind of look at these 5 films across is that we really have accomplished that. You've got your big film blockbuster with Bruce Willis on the moon. You've got this really sweet independent story, love story that President LeBreton picked out. It goes all the way through. And I think it's really was a successful curation of events.
And it's cool that the people that are involved in it are going to be part of the showings as well. So
Yes.
the leadership of the universities will be here to do intros to why these films relate to the 5 colleges in the area.
I'm Angela Combest, and I'm the development manager. I also think it's really cool that we've got a diversity of roles. We've got actors featured, we have screenwriters featured, writer-directors. So we didn't just focus on who's the lead. We didn't just focus on who's the director or writer. And I love that about this series. Mm-hmm.
And the series is 5 on film. It begins tonight, 5 weeks, 5 films, 5 colleges. And you mentioned a little bit about the president of Smith College, who'll be part of the intro tonight. Who wants to talk about this first movie and how it ties into Smith College?
I'm Alex Hornbeck, and I'm the creative manager and one of the programmers. The first movie tonight, The Incredibly True Adventure of 2 Girls in Love, which is maybe one of the longest titles we've played in a while. It almost doesn't fit on our marquee, but we squeezed it in there. This is a really sweet film. It came out in '95. It went through Sundance. It was kind of a small indie hit then. And we actually played it 2 years ago on Valentine's Day, and it completely sold out. So we were excited to be able to bring it back. Hopefully some folks who maybe got turned away then can come back and see it tonight. It's a scrappy indie DIY film that nonetheless feels really professionally done. It's sweet. It's about 2 girls from very different sort of classes in small town who meet, and they have this sort of kindling of their first big romance.
I came out to a girls' school today.
How'd it go?
You're not weirded out, are you? Why should I be? Well, most people are.
Do you have something you want to tell me? How come we didn't know about this before? I mean, you don't seem gay.
I didn't say I was gay. I said I was in love.
We're having a little crisis on our hands. We're trying to get Evie to come out with her new friend, Randy.
Randy's already out, Mrs. Roy.
It's a Sundance film, but it's not completely experimental. It's actually a fairly accessible love story, but it's done so well. It's so sweet. It's really a gem that we're thrilled to be bringing back to the screen.
I have such fond memories of that movie because it was literally like one of the first times you got to see like young queer women on screen. And we at my dorm at my boarding school wore that VHS out from the library. I've seen it so many times. I love it.
It's so great. And, in the 90s, there was the new queer cinema movement, which is just an incredible sort of slice and era, really important in film history. A lot of those films are a little oblique, they're challenging, they're experimental. We love those too. But this is one that is just one of the sweetest love stories you'll ever see. So thrilled to play it again.
Yeah, a lot of it's trying to figure out what we can get away with without somebody calling someone or the movie getting a rating that will not allow anyone to see it.
Yeah. And another thing about this film, which is maybe like a hidden backstory, I'm a proud graduate of Smith College. There's no connection to the, Smith kicking off the series, but I am. And also the director of this film, Maria Maginty, we attended the same high school. And this film is on location at that high school.
Oh, wow.
So I was watching it for the first time on my computer screen, which, is not my preference for watching movies. And I was like, this looks very familiar. And I did some digging, and sure enough, it was my high school location.
What high school?
Horace Mann High School in Riverdale, New York. Yeah, so that was really fun. So I can't wait for it tomorrow to see it on the big screen.
And her connection, of course, is to Smith College, and there'll be an intro by the newish president, Sarah Willie LeBreton. What's number 2 in the 5 on Film series next week?
Alex, do you want to take this one as...
Sure. So next week, Thursday, October 10th, we are highlighting Mount Holyoke College and the work of Chloe Zhao, who is an incredible filmmaker. She won Best Director for Nomadland a few years ago, which we'll be playing next week. We're thrilled to highlight Chloe's films again. We showed Nomadland in a very limited capacity. It came out during lockdown. We were doing small theater rentals, so small groups could come in. So we have shown the movie, but never to a big crowd. So we're thrilled to highlight it here in front of a big, loving audience. If you haven't seen it, Chloe Zhao makes these very sort of small-scale stories, often set in Middle America. She made an incredible film about a rodeo rider called The Rider, which we showed here. And then Nomadland, very much sort of a small film crew vibe, but she brought in the great Frances McDormand to be the star.
You are one of those lucky people that can travel anywhere.
Yes, ma'am, I know.
And they sometimes call you nomads.
My mom said that you're homeless. Is that true?
No, I'm not homeless. I'm just houseless. Not the same thing, right?
No.
What the nomads are doing is not that different than what the pioneers did.
Hey, Fern!
You gotta make the hole bigger.
I think Fern's part of an American tradition.
Oh, he's gonna come right through the glass.
My dad used to say, what's remembered lives. I maybe spent too much of my life just remembering.
So it's a really interesting blend of this sort of almost verite, on-location filmmaking with the great Frances McDormand in the middle of it all. Chloe maybe is the highest profile filmmaker who's come through the 5 colleges, at least in recent years. Always thrilled to show her stuff on screen.
Soon we'll hear how a long-awaited dream is coming to fruition and bringing you more plants for the season in South Hadley with Ben and Meg's Farm and Garden Store, and make our predictions for NEPM's VP debate watch party at White Lion in Amherst as well.
But first, more of the films you can catch for 5 on Film, Amherst Cinema series with films connected to each of the 5 colleges that starts tonight, as well as the retro-tastic threequel movies they're showing for the scary season.
Which somehow brings us back to elections. You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by UMass Amherst School of Public Policy, offering graduate programs in public affairs, public policy and administration, data analytics, and computational social science. umass.edu/SPP. NEPM's podcasts are funded by Armbrook Village Senior Living in Westfield, offering assisted living and compass memory support with evidence-based treatment for those with memory loss. More at armbrookvillage.com.
Number 3 in the 5 college, 5 on film, 5 weeks, 5 colleges here at Amherst Cinema.
How fitting for the college that it's from.
Have you heard that Scooby-Doo rumor, which has been busted?
I think actually these 5 films fit that, but slightly tweaked.
If you haven't heard the Scooby-Doo rumor, it's not true, but it would be amazing if it were, that the Scooby-Doo characters were designed after the 5 colleges of Western Mass, and that Mount Holyoke is Velma, Smith is Daphne, Shaggy is UMass. Zoinks! No, wait. Shaggy's Hampshire.
Scooby is UMass.
Anyway, not true. It's
Not
still
true,
fun.
not true, not
However,
true.
what's the UMass selection?
So the UMass selection is Armageddon, which is a big blockbuster of a film. It came out in 1998, directed by Michael Bay. So, it's got an incredible cast of characters: Ben Affleck, Bruce Willis, others that you will recognize. And it's just an all-star cast of roughneck oil drillers who blast off on a mission to save the planet.
To the soundtrack of Aerosmith.
Yeah. And to the scientific dismay of one of your board members, Hampshire College astronomer Dr. Salman Hamid, we love to hate on the science behind this movie.
There's no science in this movie.
Is there such a thing as the science of imagination?
Meteor shower.
This new one you're tracking, how big?
It's what we call a global killer. Nothing would survive, not even bacteria. The United States government just asked us to save the world. Anybody want to say no?
You think we'll get hazard pay out of this?
We can imagine, we can sit, we can just sink into our seats with our popcorn and just enjoy the story as it unfolds.
What is the connection to UMass with Armageddon?
So it is co-written by Jonathan Hensley, who is UMass class of 1981.
I didn't know that. I didn't know there was any connection with UMass and Armageddon.
And that,
apart from if there's a big sporting loss.
I don't want to laugh. That is not right.
Or a big sporting win, frankly. Yeah.
And that film will be introduced by the very new Dean of the College of Humanities and Fine Arts, UMass Amherst, Dr. Maria del Guadalupe Davidson. So we're really, really excited to welcome her to the stage and have the community have a chance to get to know her as well.
Nice. We've got 3 out of the 5 colleges. What's the 4th of the 5 on film, 5 weeks, 5 films, 5 colleges at Amherst Cinema? Angela?
Yeah, we've got A Mighty Wind representing Amherst College. John Michael Higgins is a graduate. This is another one of those great Christopher Guest operations where it's like a repertory company and you see these same actors appear in many of these films.
I'm a model train enthusiast.
Oh, that's great. Thank God for model trains.
Oh, absolutely.
If they didn't have the model train, they wouldn't have gotten the idea for the big trains.
Absolutely hilarious. I love the folk music connection, which is great for the Valley. Oh, yeah. And so I think that, it's one of those films that if you haven't seen it in a while, it's great to revisit. The humor is still really, really engaging, and he's fantastic in it. So I think it's going to be a good time for all.
It's one of my top Christopher Guest ones. I just watch it so many times. It's so funny. I remember it came out and I saw it, and Beck was playing the Iron Horse that week in a warm-up show. And he said from the stage, "Anybody seen A Mighty Wind?" And I yelled, "What happened?" And Beck from the stage was like, "What happened?"
Hey, what happened? As you know, back in 1970, I started on a series called What Happened? And every time something would go wrong, I would look at the camera and say, "Hey, what happened?"
The Fred Willard character is maybe one of the funniest movie characters ever put on screen. He's incredible.
I don't think so.
We had a lot of fun with that and a lot of other catchphrases. I got a real red wagon. And I can't do my work.
Anyway, too many good lines from that one.
That's true. every Christopher Guest movie.
Very, 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 very quotable. And the songs are beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the songs are really touching.
Really given way more attention than they needed.
Yeah. It's also folk Spinal Tap, if you want to think of it like that.
It's always a bummer when there's a movie about art or about music and they don't get the craft right.
Yeah.
But in A Mighty Wind, the songs are just spot on, just like a nudge over the line, that they're a little unbelievable, but musically incredible.
The kiss at the end of the rainbow. I mean, it melts me every time. It's really a beautiful song.
We're really excited to have President Michael Elliott on stage to introduce the film, and so yeah, he's also fairly new. He's, I think, second year, right? And so it'll be great to have him here. He's also a member of the cinema, which we're grateful for.
You can see his campus from here, so.
Yeah.
Well, I will also say all 5 college presidents and heads are members of the cinema, so we're grateful for that support.
What's the 5th and final film of 5 on Film, 5 weeks, 5 colleges, Amherst Cinema?
Sure. So if you've been keeping track, that means Hampshire College is the last college to be represented here. On Monday, October 28th, we'll be showing the great Coen brothers film, A Serious Man, which came out in 2009. One of my favorites of theirs. It's hard to pick a favorite Coens, but it's probably in my top 3. It takes place in 1960s suburban Minnesota. It follows Michael Stolbarg, who plays this physics professor whose personal life is falling apart, as is his professional life. And it just charts that building anxiety in the funniest way possible, which only the Coen brothers can do.
Larry, we've received a number of letters denigrating you and urging us not to grant you tenure.
I need help. We're gonna be fine.
I've tried to be a serious man.
We're gonna be fine.
Tried to do right, be a member of the community.
We're gonna be fine.
Please, just tell him I need help. Please.
We're gonna be fine.
I need help.
We're gonna be fine.
And it stars an unforgettable Fred Melamed as Michael Stolbarg's best frenemy. He's incredible, and Fred Melamed, this was news to me, he went to Hampshire College, class of 1974. So here we're highlighting one of the stars of the film. It's incredible. It's this existential, dark comedy that almost becomes metaphysical towards the end of it. Incredible, incredible film. Always happy to showcase the Coens.
And there's another local connection, actually. Ray Burke, who's a really fantastic actor. He and his wife moved to the Valley a couple years ago, and a veteran of stages already in the area, but he's also in the film. So if anybody knows Ray and Candace, it's a great opportunity to see Ray on the big screen as well.
We talked to Images Cinema in Williamstown, which is another local nonprofit cinema making awesome things happen. They have a spooky series, Nightmare on Spring Street. It is spooky season now officially, and I get so excited. You have some fun Halloween-y type stuff happening.
Yeah, in fact, in our late nights, our threequels start this Friday. Threequels! And Alex is a curator, so I could never give it justice, so you got to hand the mic to him.
Okay, Alex.
Sure. So if you're awake enough on Friday nights at 9:45 p.m., come on down to Amherst Cinema. We show cult genre weird films every Friday night at 9:45, and we're doing some mini themes this fall. And yes, in October it's threequels. We're showcasing some of the best third films in a series. They happen to all be from the 80s / very early 90s. So this Friday, October 4th, we're showing Halloween 3: Season of the Witch. This was the controversial Halloween sequel, which did not feature Michael Myers at all, which really got under some people's skin when it was first released, but it's since emerged as a real cult classic. It follows an evil toy company who may be imparting their toys with evil witchcraft via a piece of Stonehenge. It's utterly ridiculous. It's so much fun. It's so 80s. Next week, we're showing The Exorcist 3. Oft overlooked, it's no original Exorcist, because what is? But this one was directed by the novelist of the Exorcist books, William Peter Blatty, and it's kind of a detective story, which does tie back to the original plot. Supernatural detective story. It's a lot of fun, On October 18th, it's Army of Darkness, the third Evil Dead film.
Kind of the second in some ways.
Yeah,
No,
technically the third.
Yes.
Yes.
But then we have to get into why, like, Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2 are not quite equal movies.
Right. It's the third that was released. It's not necessarily the third story because that is a little convoluted, but it's the third movie released, and it's so much fun. Bruce Campbell just totally becomes like a Looney Tunes character in this one.
All right, you primitive screwheads, listen up. See this? This is my boomstick. It's a 12-gauge double-barreled Remington. S-Mart's top of the line.
It's a blast.
Shop smart, shop S-Mart.
Yes. Shop smart, shop S-Mart.
He's incredible, and then we're closing it out on the 25th with A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors. That one's incredible.
The best one in the series.
I agree. The teenagers realize that they can fight back in the dreamland if they train to be psychic dream warriors. It features a young Larry Fishburne. It's incredible. So if you're looking for 80s, 90s horror fun, this month, come on down for the threequels.
And I am.
But then you also have, I do believe, like, Lee Sun, I think this is his last movie, right?
Yes.
Sleep?
Yes.
Because he died early this year.
Yeah. Right now we're showing a movie called Sleep. We know it's here at least through this Thursday. You can check our website for showtimes. It's a Korean horror thriller family drama. It's a real melange of styles, very much like a Bong Joon-ho movie. And the director actually was assistant director on Okja by Bong Joon-ho. So something he learned from Bong is how to just blend all these different genres really seamlessly. It's a blast. And yeah, it is Lee Sun-kyun's final film. He passed earlier this year. You may know him from Parasite. He plays the sort of patron of the family.
Costa, if you're really into K-dramas like me.
Yeah, I will nod and say yes. So Sleep is a blast. It's a really fun, twisty little thriller. Angela just saw it and loved it. So yeah, come on down for that.
And he's brilliant on screen in pretty much everything he does, so come and see his last work.
Final thing, the wonderful thing that everyone should know about 5 on Film, it is Spirit Month, so come on down to the cinema, dressed in your spirit attire, so any sort of school attire. We said college, but we'll accept anything, right? Any school attire, and you get our school spirit discount. And this is generously underwritten by each of the members of the 5 College, as well as 5 College Inc. and Greenfield Savings Bank. So we hope to see everyone there cheering on schools that you love, cheering on learning about, schools that are in our community, and also seeing these films all in conversation with one another.
5 on Film starts tonight with the incredibly true story of 2 girls in love showing at 7, and Yasmin is right with the movie clocking in at a tidy 94 minutes. You totally have time to see that and come hang out with us at the NEPM VP Debate Watch Party at White Lion, right across the street.
And we'll get into a bit of our expectations for the night after we discuss the hopefulness of growing things with the folks at Ben and Meg's Farm and Garden Store as they enter their very first fall season.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
NEPM's podcasts are funded by Armbrook Village Senior Living in Westfield, offering assisted living and compass memory support with evidence-based treatment for those with memory loss. More at armbrookvillage.com. The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by the UMass 5 College Credit Union, offering co-op advantage checking with cash back on all purchases, plus secure debit card controls, all from the UMass 5 mobile banking app. Insured by NCUA, umass5.coop.
Time for another local hero spotlight with Claire Marneau from CISA. And what's your name?
Meg Haber.
Meg, you are the Meg of Ben and Meg's here in South Hadley / the border of Holyoke. Right across from South Hadley High School. Not a place that you would think about having a lot of agriculture, but there's a horse farm also like right next door. You thought that the horse farm might be where we were going. That would have been fun to do a little horseback ride.
Google Maps was unkind, shall we say. But I do have a question about your last name. Are you related to the Habers that have the farm in East Hampton? No. Okay. That face says no.
We could be.
I know, but the valley's small. Haber is where I went to get corn for 12 years while I lived in East Hampton. So I wonder if they're related, because sometimes they are.
When I Haber, I know I want to be.
I'm gonna be the man who
Anyway, this is like a brand new farm business that started just around Mother's Day weekend, right?
Yes, Mother's Day weekend, exactly.
What were you and your husband doing before Ben and Meg's became a thing?
I've been a hairdresser for the last 18 plus years and then had an accident. Can't do hair anymore. My husband is in excavation still to this day.
He's excavating somewhere now, probably, right?
Yes, yes.
It's that time of year. They're all out.
Oh my word,
Very
yes.
much
There's
so.
so much construction going on everywhere.
Yes, absolutely.
Uh-huh. And so then what was the idea that you wanted to start a farm and garden store?
Farming is his dream. I just love all the flowers and all the planting and putting it together and creating the stuff and seeing the smiles on people's faces. I like that. Whereas he is more of the, I'm going to get in the dirt and play around with all my big boy toys and build it, and she'll just let them all come in.
That's good. Then you're covering all the bases.
Exactly, we cover it all.
Yeah. So we're in sort of the retail aspect of it, and you've got some flowers and things in here that are, or house plants. Yeah. We've also got wreaths, one extraordinarily cool black and purple and silver spooky wreath with a skull on it. That's perfect now that it's spooky season officially.
It is very much spooky season.
And then this one, which might be the only wreath my dad would ever put up, but perhaps not this year because they've just been so terrible. There is a New England Patriots wreath right at the register.
That defense is not what they thought it was going to be.
I'm like this tempted to buy it for him, except my mom loves this kind of thing so much, and my dad hates that my mom loves it so much. It would almost troll them both at the same time.
Awesome.
In which case, again, you're covering all the things.
I know. I'm tempted.
Also, they have to be terrible before they can be good again.
Yeah, that's true. It makes me feel like I'm back in high school when they were just awful all the time. Take us to the greenhouse over here.
All right, let's do it.
Was this greenhouse here before, or did you guys build this?
The greenhouse was here, but we had to do a lot of cleaning and reconstruction and building and getting things working again.
Is this where you're doing all your growing, or are you growing somewhere else too?
Nope, just in here is where we'll grow, and then we will also get some things from our distant distributors in New Jersey.
It is the Garden State, so it's perfect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, that was good. He's a pro.
Hey, thanks. At least somebody appreciates me.
Don't look at me when you say that.
I wasn't. So tell us about what you got growing in here and what we can still grow or play with now that it's October.
Well, we have a bunch of fall stuff in here, mums and some herbs still, and the two people behind you that are working, Cody and Adrian. Cody is our native perennial and houseplant specialist guy, and Adrian is our plant specialist.
Yo, Adrian. Yo, Adrian. That's all I wanted to say that. I'm Italian.
She's heard it. That's the I've heard.
Have you? Yeah, you've heard that one. Not today. Good. Yeah.
Not today. Also, I appreciate your periodic table shirt. It's wonderful.
I wear the shirt periodically, it says, but only when I'm in my element.
Oh,
Do you wear it when you're in your? Oh, no, you don't have your
No,
element.
I don't have an element anymore. You're gonna make me sad.
The Honda Element.
I miss that car so much.
Yeah.
It was the best.
Honda Elements are cool. Okay, anyway, back to plants.
These two tables specifically are Cody's houseplant and cacti.
Can we talk to you about your cacti? How did you get interested in the world of sharp, hurtful plants?
I'm a glutton for punishment. Really, we could back it up to flowers in general. So I started with flowers maybe 6 or 7 years ago. My grandma's retired, and all she was staring at was Route 116, and that's kind of boring. So I started getting into gardening. I planted my first garden, and then I realized that there's a lack of understanding and an importance in native plants, and so I got into native plants and slowly got into cactus because we actually have a native cactus.
We do?
Yeah. It's
Is it here?
Yeah. It's so they're called an eastern prickly pear. They bloom early spring. They're one of the first bloomers. They bloom yellow. Their main pollinator is ants. They grow a lot on the coastline, so you'll find them in Massachusetts around like Plymouth, out on the dunes and whatnot.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I'm currently working to. I'm trying to populate the mountains around here with them, just to be a goon.
Is that how they thrive in those sort of like rougher terrains like dunes or maybe in mountains?
Yep. Anywhere that's disturbed, they like rocky, sandy, cliff sides. I mean, anywhere where you wouldn't see a normal plant growing, these guys want to grow.
I was gonna say, so they're like coastline and like alpine situations too.
Yep.
Do they fruit?
Yeah, they do. They spread out pretty quick. So once the paddles get too heavy, they fall off and then they root and they'll spread out.
More.
So realistically, they only get about a foot tall and then they'll get wide. You'll get a really wide patch.
They look like if you deflated avocados.
Yeah, yeah.
They look like nopales.
The pads are edible as well.
Oh, so they are nopales.
I've started noticing a lot of like energy drinks and alcohols have actually started making prickly pear flavor as well.
Well, now you can have your own native prickly pear flavor from Massachusetts. Who knew we had cactus?
But only when your bunch gets big enough that you can take the paddles off instead of killing your plant accidentally.
Yeah.
Has anything been hard about learning native plants? I kind of want to ask this under the context of climate change and how our warming temperatures are not necessarily good for them, but I'll just say writ large.
So, I'll start this off by saying this year was a really awkward year for native plants. So I think this year alone we saw the average plant bloom. It was about a month and a half early, if not a little bit more. And that's incredible. To see asters, which are normally blooming end of October into November, start blooming at the end of August. That was, that's something I've never seen before. And then last year was the best year I've ever seen for the Kalmia species. So mountain laurel and cheap laurel and stuff like that. I've never seen a year like that. So it's definitely affecting stuff. We won't really know until the long term, but I'm doing what I can. There's only 2 nurseries in Massachusetts that sell exclusively native plants, so I'm trying to provide more straight species, because you go into Home Depot and they have cultivars and everything else, and they're just not as beneficial.
What is the difference between a cultivar and a native?
Is this a setup for a joke? It sounds like there's a punchline.
No. This is just a fairly important thing, I guess. So I was talking about the eastern prickly pear. It normally blooms yellow. Well, say somebody doesn't like that it blooms yellow, and they grab another prickly pear that blooms orange. They hybridize them. So people do that a lot with other plants. It's easier with like a mint or something like that. But you see a lot of plants in department stores that aren't their natural color. And while that might not seem like a big deal to us, it's a big deal to the insects that have been pollinating them for thousands of years. So yeah, definitely straight species whenever you can.
And sometimes you'll see native species in larger places that have been hybridized. Yeah. They don't necessarily tell you that they've been hybridized, because they'll go by the species name, and you're like, okay, cool, I know that that's native. And then you find out later that this is actually a cultivar instead of actual native plants. So you got to be careful.
Yeah. So the fight isn't even on things like butterfly bush or burning bush, or it's not even just invasives. We're fighting the companies that are trying to sell us natives, but they're not actually native.
That might be a good reason to shop local, and that's what CISA's all about. And we're here at Ben and Meg's farm stand in South Hadley with Claire Morneau and with Meg Haber. What else you want to show us here, Meg?
Let's take a look at the native plants and the mums.
Yay.
Nice. Now we're going out front. This is where all sorts of beautiful displays of mums and all sorts of potted plants are out here.
All the things that I wish I was better at growing, like elephant ears. Why won't you grow for me, friends?
What are those? Those look like
These
cattails.
are millet. It's
cool.
fall grass. To me, it just looks like fake corn.
Is this harvestable?
Adrian?
Yo, Adrian! Yo, Adrian! Are these harvestable?
Not yet. They're not harvestable yet, and they're not really the ones that you would technically eat. You can, but they're not the tasty ones.
Fair enough.
They're the pretty ones.
They're ornamental.
But same for is this amaranth behind?
Yep. Good job.
Khalees loves plants.
I love it. Again, you could use it. It is a grain, but again, not the tastiest.
Gotcha.
What here, if you wanted to plant outside, is still plantable?
All of the native perennials.
We talk a lot about native plants, but it takes 2 to tango. It actually takes more than that. So so we emphasize herbs a lot, because as you can see, the butterflies really like laying their eggs on our curly parsley.
Because there's a caterpillar right there.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Things like parsley, rosemary, oregano, mint, sage, those are all still plantable. Yeah, any of the native plants, most of them are done flowering at this point, but fall is probably the best time to plant an already rooted plant, either late fall or early spring.
This is a thing that we haven't needed to talk about, especially with home gardening things, but especially because planting in fall sometimes pushes into overwintering. Can either of you talk about overwintering and how it kind of helps your garden, maybe, sometimes? Say you're going to plant your herbs in the ground outside. What is overwintering, and does it help native plants?
The perennials, I would just leave it. Maybe cut it back this time of year, bring the herbs in, dry them, and then that way it gives them a little bit more time to grow before winter. But that's where all the habitats are for the winter. So all the insects hide there, rodents too. You can get all of that kind of stuff inside those plants. So it is important just to leave your garden at a certain point in the fall.
So this is your first year, your first full season.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Could you walk us through like what the year looked like in terms of how your offerings have shifted and how you think that might look next year or in the future?
Well, we started the whole process about a year and a half to 2 years ago at this point. And it started with my husband just eyeing the property and saying something to a friend. That friend then went and helped out the property, and we kind of just stepped in and started cleaning up where the U-pick flowers are, the inside, the greenhouse. And then Mother's Day weekend, we opened. It was great. May was the best month because everybody wants to plant everything and anything. June and July were great. August was good. September was really good too.
So you've got garden plants, herbs. Do you do veggie starts, that sort of thing?
We were doing the veggie starts. We did a lot of veggies. We did everything from eggplants to the habanero peppers to cucumbers to the zucchini, tomatoes, pumpkins. We have pumpkins now.
Oh yeah, it's October. Everything pumpkin spice, everything.
Everything pumpkin. I do not like pumpkin spice.
Neither do I. And neither does Khalees. We're all on the same team.
Exactly. Apple cider is the superior beverage for the fall.
Absolutely.
Is it hard to encourage people to plant things in the fall? Do they just want tubs of mums and then they toss them instead of planting them like they can?
Yes and no. In my mind, in the fall, you're getting ready for everything else. Like you're getting ready for the holidays, you're getting ready for this, you're getting ready for that. But I know for me and my husband, that's when we've always planted was in the fall. That's more his part.
He's the guy who likes to dig.
He's the guy that likes to dig.
I can dig it. Thank you. At least someone appreciates me. Is it true that you have a prehistoric tree here?
Yes.
It's like a fossil of a petrified tree?
Yeah.
Let's go look at it. What is this thing?
It's roughly a 10,000-pound chunk of petrified wood.
What petrified it? Was it a ghost?
Yeah, because it's spooky season.
I'm not a geologist. I can't give you an exact timeline here, but I mean it was just years and years of heavy layers of mud, so it just slowly got compacted, kind of like a diamond would form,
Or like a dinosaur fossil,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Does anybody have any idea how old this might be?
I have no clue.
Can't carbon date this sort of thing?
No.
I've heard a lot of speculation. I've heard as old as 150 million, but
What?
Obviously.
Who made that assessment?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Who's taking core samples? So.
Look, there's a lot of people that work at the 5 colleges that listen to this show. If you know how to carbon date a petrified tree and want to come to Ben and Meg's in South Hadley, I would love to know how old this is. I'm going to touch it so that I can just be like, I can connect with the dinosaurs. I feel you, Podencosaurus holyokensis.
Where did this get found?
There was a Russell Zool. They had the museum in Holyoke, but they also had like their workshop, and their workshop had leftover pieces. And this
that got moved here. It wasn't like found on the property.
Yeah. No, this is from my understanding, all petrified wood comes from a park in Arizona, I believe.
Oh.
Yeah.
So it's not even local to here. It just happens to be here now.
Yeah, it was thrown on a train back. Probably.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, and the train millions of years ago. No,
the dinosaur train. I used to watch that.
Dinosaur train. Once upon a time.
Probably about 100 years ago, 70, 80 years ago, it got put on a train and brought into Holyoke, and it's been here ever since.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That makes me believe it might actually be 150 million years old. If you dug it up in the backyard and you're like, I think this thing's 150 million years old, I'd be like, sorry, I bet it's not.
There's only a handful of people that are allowed to harvest that in the country at this point. It's been outlawed.
Well, come and see some outlawed petrified wood here at Ben and Meg's in South Hadley.
How long into the fall/winter season are you going to go?
We will go into November, probably beginning of December-ish, because we will be doing Christmas trees and Christmas wreaths. As soon as they're gone, be done for the winter.
Mm-hmm.
What are you looking forward to expanding native plant-wise next year?
So this year we did what we call balling on a budget, and they gave me a certain amount of money to spend, and I tried to diversify as much as possible. I ended up grabbing a majority of just summer blooming wildflowers, but next year I look to expand quite a bit. I built my house up pretty pretty ridiculous. I have about 100 species in my yard, so I'm collecting all the seed this year. So I hope to bring some of those here next year too, because why not? What else am I going to do with it, right?
You're the most popular neighbor in the neighborhood with the bugs.
Yeah, with the bugs at least, with the bugs.
Has it been hard to get people more interested in native plants, or are they already interested and you're just like expanding their world about it a bit?
It's a little bit of both. I post a lot of stuff on Marketplace.
This is Marketplace.
Marketplace is the easiest way for me to reach people that don't know this place exists for free. At least it's a good free outlet to reach people. And a lot of the people that I'm talking to, they know about native plants and they want to come and they want to pick them up. They just have nowhere to find a straight species. So I have people travel in from an hour, 2 hours away. But at the same time, the local people that show up for the mums, they don't necessarily know about the native stuff. So I'm trying to teach them. It's hard to get to them that like, hey, you can plant stuff in the middle of October. It doesn't need to, you don't need to plant as soon as, the sun rises in the spring. Like you got all fall to do it too.
With your husband like wanting to be in the dirt with toys and you wanting to do flowers, was it always a part of wanting to open this that you would have native plants be a part of your thing?
That was always part of the plan, is to have the native plants here. I didn't know some of the native plants were actually native plants until he came into our world. Cody, that is. So the fact that we have some of them is kind of awesome in itself. So now I just want them all.
This might be a question you'll be better able to answer after like the year is done and you
we'll
have
come back next year around this time and see how you're doing.
Yeah, you have a little bit of a break in the winter, but I'm curious, just like as you think about your first full year, what you're hoping to expand in the future, and I don't know what your dream is for this place.
Well, I know my dream is to expand it quite a bit. I know my husband's dream is to expand it into being able to have wedding venues here, especially out back, because it overlooks the horse farm and it's actually very, very pretty up there. He wants to do hardscapes in this area. He wants to get the trees and shrubs. So we do plan on expanding quite a bit.
Maybe I should go get that Patriots wreath before the holiday season comes and the Patriot season's over, which it pretty much already is.
It happens very quickly because football is the shortest season because you get so hurt.
Her shirt says doomed, so.
Yeah. Khalees's shirt says doomed, right?
That's because of the debate coming up.
Yeah.
And more on the debate coming up, too. Thanks so much to Cody Gauthier, Adrian Coons, and Meg Haber from Ben and Meg's Farm and Garden Center in South Hadley for showing us around.
Now to get ready for Civic Showdown Part 2, Executive Boogaloo, because somebody's throwing a watch party tonight, and that somebody is us here at NEPM. We'll get into some of our predictions about what might go down between the Veep hopefuls next.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM. Welcome back to the Fabulous 413 from NPR.org. For the first and only time, likely only time, Senator J.D. Vance of Ohio and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz will face off in a vice presidential debate tonight. They both need to help their respective ticket win over undecided voters in crucial swing states as voting is already underway in parts of the United States.
The vice presidential debate is specifically significant because there was only one presidential debate between former President Donald Trump and Vice President Harris. Walz will defend Harris's record. The vice president has only been the candidate for around 2 months. Meanwhile, Vance might attempt to make up for Trump's widely acknowledged loss to Harris in the presidential debate. Well, acknowledged by everyone except Trump.
That's right, and Trump's camp. Tonight, 8 p.m., the doors open at White Lion Brewery in Amherst, and 9 p.m., the debate begins. We had a fun time at the last debate, if you can call it fun. There was a lot of drama on the television, but there was a lot of watching of that drama from the folks of Amherst.
A lot of things were said on that screen
And we'll be happy to be there tonight if you want to come watch the debate with us, and we want to talk to you. I'll have my recorder with us, and we'll chit-chat about your take on the debate as it's happening. Yeah. We only found one libertarian and one Trump supporter for the other debate.
There were two, but we only talked to one.
Oh, I only saw the one.
Yeah, there was a second one.
Okay, I didn't run into them. So if that is your ilk and you're in the Amherst area tonight, you want to be there, we want to try to get a cavalcade of different perspectives on the thing. But, it is the People's Republic of Amherst. So there was a lot of folks in one particular camp watching the last debate, and I'm anticipating that will be the case.
Yes, but there wasn't any animosity, of the people there towards anybody. Depending on that, we were just there to watch and see what happened.
The other thing that was fun was that there was a debate bingo card last time, and there will be a debate bingo card again this time.
Yes.
Some of the things that are on the debate bingo card: reproductive rights, Russia, first 100 days, crime, gun control. What are some of the things that stick out to you there?
Ohio, the opioid epidemic, jobs, child care, January 6th.
I like that football is on here, and I'm pretty sure football is going to come up.
I like that Across the Aisle is on it, and that's a hopeful thing.
Yeah, I thought...
And kudos to the NEPM marketing team for making that each time. It's been wicked cool to see.
Yeah, it's really fun. A couple things I thought maybe could be on there that might come up tonight include like small town or middle America. Yep. I was surprised Couch wasn't on there, but we'll see if that shows up. Cats might be another one because there was the whole, the childless cat lady thing. So we'll see what actually happens in the debate tonight. I'm anticipating it will be a more sane overall conversation.
I agree, but it'll be interesting either way because of the demeanor of each of the candidates.
Right.
Yes.
And, there's been a lot of memes about both J.D. Vance and about Tim Walz.
Yes.
Because of the algorithm, I think I see mostly the favorable, Coach Tim Walz kind of things.
Yes.
But, yeah, we'll see what happens as it unfolds tonight.
Yes, and I know we're not supposed to take particular leanings, but it's very interesting that J.D. Vance is married to a woman of color and yet seems to know nothing about either of those things.
Well, yes, and that has been something that he has been pilloried for by folks throughout the course of this campaign. But we will see what happens tonight. Doors at 8. The debate at 9.
Come hang out with us. We're pretty cool.
White Lion in Amherst.
And we can watch
tonight.
the VP debate with everybody else.
We'll see if sad songs or waltzes are selling this year.
Oh, boy.
Tomorrow on the Fabulous 413, delicious intersectionality with Amherst College professor Ilan Stabans, who now can add cookbook author to his very long resume. We'll dig into the pages of Sabor Judío and discover the flavors of Jewish Mexican food just in time for Rosh Hashanah.
And maybe, just maybe, I'll cook something from the cookbook. Plus, 200 new words have just joined the pages of Merriam-Webster's dictionary, and we'll get a quick tour of the editions with word nerd Emily Brewster, and we'll hear some of what you, the public, had to say at this watch party that we'll be at tonight for the BP debate at White Lion in Amherst.
We hope to see you tonight.
Indeed.
If not, we'll see you tomorrow on the Fabulous 413.
Facts.